Well, good evening and welcome to the Arbor Hills Nature Preserve in Plano, Texas. Tonight's exercise is the first field test of the ACEBEAM P18, which I have right here in the middle, P17 on the left, and the P23i from Nightcore on the right, just for very rough size comparisons. I do want to thank ACEBEAM for sending me lights and making these reviews possible. And I also want to point out for those who have the P17 or who are closely evaluating the P17 versus the P18, I will be filming a detailed comparison video very soon, probably within the next 2 to 3 days. Tonight, it's all about the P18. You really notice the difference between these lights when you do this. We have 4 SFT 40s on the P18, 5,000 peak lumens, almost 99,000 peak candela. It's going to be interesting to see what that beam looks like tonight. Now, the output modes are the same as the P17. You have a daily mode and 2 tacticals. Daily allows you direct access to ultra low, and then while the light is on, you can cycle through low, medium, high, and turbo output levels. That's what we're going to look at tonight, just what you get straight out of the box, charge the light, and go. On the subject of charging, I will point out that you have a protected charging port. This piece right here will unscrew, pull down, expose the USB-C port, and then locks back into place. Probably going to be really nice for those of us who have to operate in the rain, but it's not raining tonight, and I know you're here to see beam shots, so you give me about another 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll get there. We are at the bridge right now, looking down at the creek and low. There's medium. High. Good 40 plus yards line of sight this time of year. And everyone's favorite, turbo. Definitely have a very generous spill here, exceeding the view that I can provide on the iPhone. So I'm doing something a little bit different because when I evaluate a tactical light of this nature, especially something that has 4, maybe 5 modes, the medium and high modes are the ones of the most interest to me. Those are probably the ones I'm going to use the most often, and I'm in medium right now. So I'm going to simulate using this to do a area search. Just go to walk right through this area in front of me. Look a little bit to the left and right. Oh yeah, the usual rabbit out in the distance. It's kind of warm tonight. I hope we'll see something more interesting. I'm kind of expecting this to be a closer quarter search. I don't need to light things up many hundreds of yards downrange, so just kind of getting a good idea of what I can expect from this medium mode. And a lot of the searches I have to do in an area like this in a nature preserve, it can get quite confusing because you just go around like this literally for hours looking for any sign of the person or persons that you're searching for. Okay, so that's a good initial test on medium. Let's move deeper in the preserve and look at some other modes. Here we are in low. Thought I heard something over here, so Of course, I would probably search this using my headlamp first, but again, I want to get a good idea of what I can do on low by itself, and then what I can do with low in tandem with my headlamp. Okay, now let's bring the headlamp in. Okay, that's just a very low flood. So now I've got essentially my headlamp is providing a very close quarters flood, and then I'm using the P18 for a spot that I can do close quarter searches with. All right, let's keep going here. Yeah, for these surroundings and this distance, this mode is actually just perfect along with my headlamp. I saw something reflective over there. Oh, now there we have, I'm going to guess that's a possum. Oh, interesting. I figured we'd see some more interesting stuff since it's warmer out tonight. And we're headed back up to the main path. For me personally, high is probably the most important and the most used mode. In most lights, this tends to be the best combination or best trade-off between power and runtime. So I'm running in high right now. You may have seen this from other videos, this tree line, not these three in front of me, but the tree line behind it, goes off and angles off to my left. It's well over a football field at this distance right here. I'm just going to go back and forth and high. And what I'm seeing here is kind of what I expected, and that is a very generous hot spot, which is great for searches. I already have a ultra long throw light on my left shoulder, and so what I really like from this type of light is a good go-between my headlamp and my long throw light. So for me personally, this is probably going to be one of the more important tests of the evening. But I know you've been looking for turbo, so you know what's coming next. I've always liked this test because this is one of the few areas in this preserve that if I look back through that chute of trees and get the right angle, I can get close to 200 yards or more line of sight. Now I'm looking at this in high right now. I can definitely pick up some detail from that very, very far tree line. So let's go into turbo. Now what you're getting here is a bit more on the hot spot. I'm picking up a tiny bit more detail in the tree line. Difficult because we have so many particulates in the air, but you can really see that a lot of those extra lumens are going into the hot spot, or excuse me, the spill, so it's increasing my peripheral. So for general area searches, I really tend to like that. As again, if I see something out there and I can't quite get a handle on it at that range, I still have an ultra long throw light that I can go to. So I really like this mix between hot spot and spill. And yes, it is getting warm, but not uncomfortable. Oh, I knew we'd see some interesting stuff tonight. Too bad I don't have some Lone Star beer. Ah, there he goes. So I'm at the top of the observation tower. The bridge extending to the other side is 25 yards. Then we have a walkway beyond that. I have a very small amount of lighting behind and above me. So I've got the P18 preset in medium mode. So let's suppose I'm here. I hear something off the distance. I just need to light it up. So there's another good test of what the light looks like in medium out to 35, 40 yards. And if we go off into that area right there, we're still getting good visibility back in that dark space. So speaking of top of the observation tower, here's another shot in turbo. Just going to pan around. I think now you can get a better idea of the extent of the hot spot and spill, although I am getting illumination out beyond the range of the iPhone at this setting to pick it up. So you do have a very wide and usable spill here and way out to the tops of the trees there. That's pretty impressive given the surrounding light pollution and the number of particulates in the air tonight that you can see blowing by. Oh yeah, way, way out in the distance in those trees. Very impressive. So my gear needs to work together. This is a case where I have a pretty wide open area to search over. I have my headlamp in 1800 lumen combined flood and spot. That's generally a very good level. There's a tree out in front of me. I'm getting just a little bit of detail. I know there's a tree out there, and that's about it. So let me bring the P18 here. That's on high. Of course, now I can get all the detail I need just on high. It's working extremely well, even with my headlamp on that high level of illumination. I have well over 150 yards line of sight beyond that tree. So bump it up into turbo, and yeah, that's golden. I mean, that is just absolutely awesome. So yeah, this is ideal in the sense that I still have that decent spill, and I have the flood from my headlamp. So I'm getting just a great combination of downrange and peripheral from these two working together. All right, I've seen a bobcat, I've seen a skunk, but I wasn't able to get camera on him. And here is the first snake of the season. Yeah, lots of copperheads out here, so I'm going to give him a very wide berth. So I'm back to the parking lot. I want to do a photonic barrier test. This is for my friends in law enforcement. And a lot of times you're in a situation where you're searching for someone. We've got a lot of light in front of me, both the street light, the lights around the restroom area there. But let's just suppose we catch a glimpse of something slightly reflective off to the right, but it's in that dark area just to the right of the building. So there's the P18 in high. Not bad, but not great. Now I go up into turbo, and I can actually pick up the outline of trees way off on the other side of the path. I could even tell there are people out there walking in the distance. So yeah, definitely gets the job done in serious photonic barriers. We are back at the truck for just a very quick summary. I believe I got what I expected based on my experiences with the P17, what I was able to gather from the spec sheet. Of course, this is the first step in a multi-step process. Next step is a side-by-side comparison with the P17. We'll look at the output levels side by side, as well as a burn down from turbo, and then I will take the P18 out on a search and rescue training exercise at the LBJ grasslands, probably as a helmet mounted light. And I had planned on doing that with the P17, but once I have the comparison video, I only need to do it with one of the two, and I think I'll go with the P18. Of course, a couple closing comments: no electronic lockout, just like the 17, or another way to say that is that your lockout is old school, but takes quite a bit of direct pressure before that comes on. Take that for whatever you will. If you had it packed up with a lot of other stuff and you're afraid about it shifting and coming on, then, well, lockout is old school. It does not come with a holster out of the box. So, with this form factor, you're going to have to spend some time thinking about how you would both carry it and deploy it. For me, it would be either a helmet mounted or left shoulder, possibly right shoulder mounted light, so that's not too big a concern from the standpoint of search and rescue. But that's going to wrap it up for tonight. You're going to see a lot more from this light in the very near future, but until I get to those reviews, as always, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching the video.